Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to a special Christmas Day bonus episode of Basketball History 101. I am your host, Rick Loayza. This is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. And today I'm going to take a moment just to thank the audience and wish you all a Merry Christmas. As a basketball fan, this is one of my favorite days of the year. The NBA has a tradition of putting some of the best matchups together on Christmas Day. And so for this year, for 2020, this is the lineup for the NBA schedule. It's going to be the Pelicans versus the Heat in the first game, followed by the Warriors and the Bucks, then the Nets and the Celtics in the third game, the Mavericks against the Lakers in the fourth game, and in the nightcap, we've got the Clippers versus the Nuggets. Like I said, this is always one of my favorite days of the year to watch really good basketball all day long. And I just love it. Hopefully you do too. Wherever you are, that you're able to watch those games and have some fun. I also want to take some time just to thank the audience for following us, for supporting us on this podcast. This is something we do as a labor of love. I love basketball history. I think that you love basketball history, which is why you tune in each week and download those episodes. But I do want to take some time to give a shout out to our international audience. So we have about 20% of our audience comes from outside the United States. And I just want to acknowledge it that we've got listeners from the United Kingdom, from Australia, Italy, New Zealand, Netherlands, France, Germany, Canada, Ireland, Brazil, Spain, Belgium, and Norway. So if you're in one of those countries, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our podcast. We really, really appreciate it. And we are determined to continue to come up with good stories, fun stories, to not only keep you entertained, but provide a little information about basketball history. So we're going to have kind of a shorter story today that I wanted to get into. I had the idea of trying to find out who scored the most points on a Christmas Day game. And so I went into the archives and I found that it was Bernard King. Now, throughout NBA history, there are, of course, incredible scorers. We have Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Allen Iverson. These are all some of the greatest scorers in NBA history. But one guy that doesn't get talked about that much, at least not anymore, is a guy named Bernard King. This guy could fill up the basket when he wanted to. And back on Christmas Day in 1984, he did just that. He scored 60 points for the Knicks that day. And he did it without even shooting a three-pointer. Back in the 80s, teams just didn't shoot three-pointers like they do today. In fact, the entire Knicks team only shot one three-pointer. It was his teammate, Rory Sparrow. He shot one and made one. Their opponent that day was the New Jersey Nets. They attempted 5 three-pointers and missed all of them, which is why teams didn't shoot as many three-pointers back then. But despite his 60 points, without a single three-pointer again, he was 19 for 30 from the field for 63% shooting, but he really made his points at the free throw line. He got fouled a ton that game and made 22 out of 26 from the free throw line. He also threw in 7 rebounds and 4 assists to get to his 60 points. But unfortunately, the Knicks could not come up with a victory. On that day, they lost 120 to 114 to the New Jersey Nets. And what I'm going to do is actually put the link to the YouTube video in the description if you want to watch highlights of Bernard King scoring those 60 points. So I'll include that there for you. But otherwise, I wanted to just talk about that story real quick. It was back then, it was a rare Christmas Day game. Now it's become a tradition. So hopefully, again, you get a chance to tune in and watch those games today. Otherwise, that's what I'll be doing. So again, I just want to say to everybody out there, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if you get a chance, go ahead and hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check out our Facebook page. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. That's where I'll also announce where new episodes come out. So I want to thank my producer and editor, as always, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care, and see you soon.
We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday's Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. Soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of filmmusic.io.